Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another video on this 2005 GTI 717 we picked up. It's a bright sunny Sunday here. We got a little wind, got some traffic behind me. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'll try to speak louder. But we got the carb rebuilt. We got all new oil lines in. And we're working on cleaning up some stuff and putting the carb back in and setting the injection pump. I also removed the oil tank, drained that out of the, drained all the blue oil, quicksilver, whatever they had in that, got all that out. And I plastic welded the seam up. It's one of those two-piece oil tanks. Got that plastic welded up. Got all oil lines in, a filter in, and our our shut-off valve for the oil. I'll show you that in a second. We got our carb rebuilt with a genuine OEM Mikuni part from Kit's part from OSD Marine, and we're about ready to put that in. So let's give a little quick look and see what we got done. It really sucked having to disconnect the strap cables for the tanks. I haven't gotten the center one in yet, so if you know a trick to get to that center one, disconnecting it was a pain and putting it back in was even more a pain. But as you can see, we got the tank plastic welded up. It's also a pain getting off all these plastic rivets for this access panel. Here's a look from this side. We got our new return oil line here. You see the seam here from the tank is all welded up. We got all new fresh lines here with a fresh filter. Got our shut-off valve here for the oil for storage for winter. We got our oil injection line hooked up and the line to the rotary valve down there. We got our new oil injection line here. And we're getting ready to put the carb on and connect the gas lines. We got our exhaust back on. A new gasket in there. And we threw in a good used starter. There's some black blue oil from the oil tank. I'll have to give it another good wash out once I get the carb and stuff back on. We have our oil injection cable here. I've got to connect that back up. That came undone. That's going to be a pain to get back in. But we're getting ready to put the carb back on. We'll get that oil line taken care of. That oil injection line taken care of. Here is our fresh rebuilt carb. Single carb. We're ready to go back in. We filled it with, this says snow, but this stuff is the same as the ski stuff. It's the 2-stroke mineral oil, XPS mineral oil. Grab our bolts here. Miscellaneous bolts and hardware. We got our battery rubber tray and our strap. We got tools everywhere. There's our intake arrestor. My arrestor is in the super ultrasonic cleaner being cleaned. We'll get that all cleaned up. We'll get the PTO cover back on. We'll get this other vent back on. And I got to hook up the other vent here I took off. You can see the one here. I got to put this one back on here on this side. There's our air intake box there. But yeah, she's coming along pretty nicely. So putting the carb on is pretty simple. We've got our gasket. We'll get our carb bolts, the long ones there, get that put on. And get our cables hooked up. Our choke cable and our throttle cable and our oil pump cable. Okay everybody, so we got the carb in, we got the pump injection set on the cable. We got our air box in, we got our throttle cable and choke cable all in and set. We got a battery inside, and we got our oil lines primed. Got the exhaust all put back in. We're ready to fire up. So I'll give you a quick walk around what all it looks like. So we got the air box on. I haven't put the lid on yet, but everything is hooked up on in there. We got the. This is not the right battery. It's the battery that the previous owner had put in it, but it's an ETX 20L. It should be a 16L, I believe, but it's not the right battery. It's just a battery that came with the ski. But as you can see, all the oil lines are done. We still got to clean out all this old oil. We'll get that cleaned out. Put this back on there. So our exhaust is on, new gasket. All our cables are tight. Still got to put the PTO cover on. We'll do that in a bit. But we're ready to fire it up. Now you can either spray a little gas oil premix. Some people don't like to use starting fluid, but I like to use a little starting fluid right in the carb intake right there. My key is over here. Make sure we have power. It chips, it chirps. Starts up. We got to set our idle. We will set that idle at about 3,000 outside of water, 1,500 in the water. We're looking good. I'm going to do her, run her a few times like that and get her set. This one sounds a lot different than the other ones. I think it's because of the exhaust. It's my first time hearing it with this exhaust hooked up. But we're going to get our tachometer and hook up to it, and we will get the idle set properly.